Hi, folks. This is Bob Jakes with Yes Reports. Today we're going to talk about the state of retail. How is retail doing in America? We're going to talk about the importance of buying made in America products and also the importance of supporting local stores. Buy local. Now, I love Amazon, and I love it for many reasons. But at the same time, buying from Amazon is a two-sided coin. It's like Chinese food, sweet and sour Chinese food. You get the sweet side and you get the sour side. You know what I'm saying. It's great that we're able to have the convenience of Amazon and the variety that Amazon offers us, and in some cases, the savings that Amazon offers us. I do buy from Amazon, but I also am conscious of buying from local vendors, local stores. The reason why is the local stores plow most of their money that they receive back into the local economy. It supports local employees, local owners, and in turn they go and they support other local stores. They take their paycheck, they cash it, they buy gas from the local gas station. They support the local restaurant. They support the local other stores. So it's important that when we spend our dollars, our hard-earned dollars, we spend them the way we want to, obviously. But it's very important that we keep in mind that it affects others. We should consider, when possible, buying local. We should consider, when possible, buying made in America goods. And what I say is, when possible, sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes you go to source made in America sneakers. There are not many made in America sneakers. I have found some, and in a future video, I'm going to tell you what I found about made in America sneakers. So if you haven't done so yet, give this video a thumbs up for our efforts and subscribe. Hit the bell notification below and subscribe to our channel, because we're coming out with a lot of great content in the near future. One of them is going to be about sneakers that are made in America. And many people ask me, what sneakers are made in America? So we found some, and we're going to tell you about it in one of our future videos. But getting back to this video, it's important that we consider buying made in America goods, because those funds, most of them stay in America, and they support other made in America companies. It's also important that we consider all the time buying local. My son and I had lunch the other day. It was his treat. It was awesome. You ever think about when one of your children buys you a meal, how it tastes so much better, doesn't it? You ever think about that when one of your kids who you raised buys you a meal? Doesn't it taste so much better? Getting back to the serious issue at hand, as you know, we enjoy doing these videos and we have fun doing it. So we try to throw some laughter into it. Give us a thumbs up for our efforts. We appreciate it. So my son and I, we had lunch the other day. It was Monday. And we were talking about made in America. And we're talking about small local businesses, how they've been affected by the COVID epidemic, COVID disaster. And we're talking about prior to the COVID situation, which basically, I'm in Connecticut, really broke out and affected us with all the closings and everything last March of 2020. 2020 has been an interesting year, hasn't it? But in March of 2020, that's when a lot of things started closing down real fast. Boom. Everything was okay. It was a Wednesday. and we had planned a charity pasta dinner for that coming Saturday night, and boom, by Thursday night we had to close it down, and we still haven't been able to reschedule it yet. So life, like in the middle, second or third week of March, it like kind of like everything like closed down, and it really affected a lot of us. So my son and I were talking about how these small mom and pop businesses have been affected by COVID and how many of them are going to reopen. How many will never reopen? I have a friend of mine, Dan. He's an auctioneer. He does all sorts of auctions, but he specializes in restaurant auctions. And he's doing 1 to 2 auctions every week now. And it's sad. It's really sad. The prices are very low. It's good for the buyers. You know, if you have any money and you want to buy things right, do your own due diligence. But if you know, there's a lot of deals right now on used restaurant equipment. So if you have some money and you ever plan on opening up a restaurant in the future, you may want to consider, you know, do your homework, buy it now, buy it right, as long as you have a place to store it. Well, you know, when things get better, because things will turn around. I believe in America, and I believe that things will turn around. So let's get back to the story. So my son and I are having lunch on Monday, and we're talking about COVID, and we're talking about how it's going to affect small mom and pop businesses and also large businesses. It's affected all of us in many, many different ways. And I was saying to him, you know, I live in Bristol, Connecticut, home of ESPN. I said, here in Bristol, Connecticut, before COVID shut everything down in March of 2020, retail was in trouble. If you drove around the city, you drove around these beautiful shopping centers, many of them had storefronts that were closed. One shopping center in particular has a corner location of a storefront that used to be a Blockbuster, and it's been closed since the Blockbuster chain closed down. How many years ago? Is that 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago? That storefront has been empty for all those years. That's terrible. That's terrible. And we were talking about all the different storefronts he and I have seen in this city and in other towns. When I travel around, I see the same problem all over America. Is retail ever going to come back? You know, is it because there was too much retail? There were too many shopping centers? Is it because Amazon gives the public such a good deal that many people buy online and they don't buy local anymore? Is it because the new generation, they don't like buying stuff? You know, they like living a simpler life. There's nothing wrong with that. Why is it? You know, was there too many retail options? So on the way home, we decided to take pictures. We live probably around 5 miles away from the restaurant we were eating at. By the way, everybody was doing the proper thing. You know, we had our masks on until the food came, and everybody was, you know, over 6 feet apart, and there was nobody at the restaurant. There was nobody at the restaurant. It was like 1 o'clock on a Friday. No, 1 o'clock on Monday, and in the whole big nation, you know, it's a national chain. I'm not going to say which one, but it's a national chain. I don't think there was 7 or 8 groups of people throughout the whole restaurant. So people are still scared. I'm scared. You know, I'm going out. I'm trying to support local business as much as possible, but I am scared. I am cautious. I'm very cautious. So I took some pictures on the way home, and let's talk about, you know, are we in trouble? You know, a lot of these storefronts that I took pictures of were closed before COVID shut everything down. So are we in trouble? If we are, why are we in trouble? So while buying stuff, please consider supporting the local business people, and please consider buying American goods, if available. Now, I'm going to share my screen with you. And I'm going to go through these videos. Here's a restaurant. It was a Sonic. It closed down. Beautiful. They built a brand new building, and they operated for a few years, and they closed down, and it's been vacant for over a year now. Beautiful building on a busy street. Here's a haircut place that closed down in a small shopping center. Imagine how that affects the owner and affects her. In that industry, they typically rent chairs out, but it affects the owner and it affects the other hairstylists, barbers. They no longer have a check coming in from that business that they worked hard for, and they've probably had to cut back on their spending. It affects. It's a trickle up, trickle down situation. When you don't have money coming in, you're not going out there and spending it, and that affects other people. Here's a storefront that they built. They never finished it, or they're in the process of finishing it, but it's been empty probably 4 or 5 years on a busy street. This was a laundromat. They moved down the street. They're doing well at the new location, but it's been empty for over a year and a half at this location in the shopping center. And to the right of it, another empty storefront. Now, you can see the letterings out there, Savers. This is a sad story. Savers is a for-profit operation that helps nonprofits. So Savers itself is a for-profit business, but they have some kind of arrangement going with nonprofits. So it does good for nonprofits. And it is a business that employs people. So Savers had a huge store here in Bristol, Connecticut, and they closed down. This was probably COVID related, and I heard through the grapevine, and I could be wrong, had something to do with rent negotiations, rent prices. But Savers was a great store, and they closed a few of them in Connecticut. Partially, I guess, probably because of the COVID situation, people weren't going out there and buying stuff. It wasn't an essential business, and they weren't supporting these type of thrift stores. But that hurts. Another empty storefront in a beautiful shopping center. This is an interesting story. This was a Walmart supermarket. It was a small Walmart supermarket, and they closed. They closed a bunch of them throughout America. But the key is, in the old days, when the store front closed, within a few months, some other business would occupy it. And that's not happening. This storefront's been closed, I think, almost 3 years now, and it's not being filled up again. And that's the scary part, is who's going to fill it up? A lot of these stores are going out of business. So how is this situation going to affect the real estate industry? Commercial, retail, real estate rentals, all those investors. How is it going to affect the cities with the property taxes? A lot of these stores have fixtures and they have inventory and they have equipment that they pay property tax on, probably the equipment and the fixtures. So if the building's empty and they're out of business, they're not paying property tax anymore. That affects the local economy. They're not employing people anymore. That affects the local economy. They're not collecting sales tax for the state. That affects the state. They're not paying paychecks out, and those employees are paying payroll taxes. That affects the federal government. This is scary what's going on. I love America. I believe in America. I believe that this is the land of opportunity, but this is scary times that we live in. So we need to support local businesses, and we need to consider buying American goods. Another storefront that's empty. This is another thrift store. This was a Goodwill. They moved down the street they built their own self-standing building in another town nearby. So they seem to be doing good, but that's an empty storefront, and that's the whole concept. Is the old days, and the old days wasn't too long ago. The old days was maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Storefronts were empty, and like normal real estate business, people would go out of business. Somebody else would take over. People would move to a bigger place. Somebody else would take over. That's not happening. That is not happening. Another empty store. This was a Radio Shack. You know what happened to Radio Shack? So, the purpose of this discussion is we should be aware of what's happening around us, and we should try to support local business. I hope you enjoyed our video today. Please share it with your friends. Give us a thumbs up for our efforts. We're trying to do a good job. Have a super day. Stay safe, stay smart, and stay tuned. Have a great day. Thanks for being with us today. Thank you.